We've kind of robbed the future a little bit, I think, right?
Well, wait a minute. What do you mean by that, Herb? Explain.
Well,
Rob the future.
I think that we pushed in deals during COVID that were deals that were going to happen later on, and we just got them in because people were in better quote unquote temporary financial situations or whatever.
I disagree with that. I hate to do it.
No, that's fine.
I hate to counterattack the host,
No worries. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show. We hope you have a blast. Thanks for making time for the Dealer Talk podcast. Another business leader, here's a penny for your thoughts. This ain't a regular conversation, baby. This that Dealer Talk. Yeah.
What up? Welcome to another episode of the Dealer Talk podcast. This is your host, Herb Anderson. Thank you so much for tuning in. I have a fantastic guest today. He's been on the show before, and we couldn't wait to have him back. None other.
Thanks for making time for the Dealer Talk podcast.
How are you?
Oh, I'm having the best day of my entire life, and now I'm here with you and Charity Ann. It's going fantastically well.
Okay, so we kicked things off with an intro, but we've already done that, and everybody knows who our guest is anyways. So how about we just kick it off at the 50,000 and tell us what you're predicting, man, for 2023. What does it look like?
2023 is going to be a mishmash of everything we've seen for the last year. The manufacturers, all their plans are crashing hard. The EVs are falling off. Dealers have got EVs on their lot that they can't sell for the first time. Even Ford Motor Company that has really made a big push on EVs. EVs isn't working out the way they thought it was. And direct sales, customer direct, that's not working either. The customers are actually looking at inventory on the ground. Herb, the industry has normalized. We've got rebates. We've got leasing is returning. I saw manufacturers advertising leasing this week, which is a really smart move. And I don't ever credit the manufacturers with doing a lot of smart things, but that.
You mean because of the interest rate situation?
The interest rate situation, and the last couple of years, we've been charging $5,000, $10,000 over sticker, $20,000 over MSRP, and that's coming back to roost right now, because what we're seeing in 2023 into 2024 is a credit crisis. And I predicted this in my written articles in the magazines and several speeches I've done, and certainly in my blogs and posts online. It was bound to happen. We've been selling cars for $10,000, $20,000 over sticker. Defaults are at the highest rate since 2007.
Yeah.
Repos are on the rise. And not only are repos and delinquencies mirrored repossessions. And these are people that had previously good credit, unlike what we've experienced in the past when people with poor credit continue to have poor credit. No, this is people that previously had good credit, and we ruined their credit selling them $20,000 over sticker, $10,000 over sticker. We were slapping high fives, and we were all proud of ourselves. And all of a sudden, what did we do to ourselves? We killed the goose. And and now the banks are withdrawing, especially the subprime banks. The subprime banks, we've had enough. Santander is still in business, but they've tightened up tremendously. Wells Fargo is pulled out of the prime and subprime venues, and everybody's pulling back. And with interest rates climbing 6%, 7%, 8%, and every tier level is up. So leasing is a very smart move for the manufacturers right now. So even if they have to subsidize the leases.
How long do you think? Because I've talked about it on the show before, but there is this we've kind of robbed the future a little bit, I think, right?
Wait a minute. What do you mean by that, Herb? Explain.
Well, I think that we pushed in deals during COVID that were deals that were going to happen later on, and we just got them in because people were in better quote unquote temporary financial situations or whatever.
I disagree with that. And I hate to
no, that's fine.
I hate to counterattack the host, or,
no worries. Let's do it.
Do it.
The sales haven't been that great during COVID. Now, after COVID, of course, we had inventory shortages, and we didn't have the cars to sell. So the fact that we robbed the future, there's a lot of pent up demand. And another thing that has popped up, and we haven't mentioned it so far in this podcast, affordability.
Right.
I owned 9 Escalades and 7 Corvettes and probably a dozen town cars before that, depending on what manufacturer I had a contract with. So I had 9 Escalades all the way through 2010. That was, and they just started the Escalade in 2000. So between 2000 and 2010, I had almost a new Escalade every year. The most I ever paid for, and I tricked them out, man. I put the entire wrapper package on every Escalade I bought. I had wheels and gold packages and dark windows. If they sold it, I bought it. The most I ever paid for an Escalade was $60,000 in 2010. And now they're tricking out over $100,000. Inflation hasn't gone up that much.
That much, right?
No, the price of cars has dramatically outpaced inflation, and to accelerate that, the manufacturers are not selling any basically equipped automobiles. They are loading up what they ship to the dealers. There is no entry-level cars in the market.
I did read an article that was saying that they were phasing out a lot of the entry-level vehicles specifically so that they could increase the price of vehicles.
Of course. The manufacturers always talk about the customer experience and how they're really looking out for the manufacturers have stuck it to the customers every turn. And I don't care which manufacturer. The most consumer-friendly manufacturers right now might be Hyundai and Toyota and Subaru. If I had to look and say that these people are behind the scenes, pull back the curtains, and you still got customer and dealer friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the balance a manufacturer should have: dealer friendly, customer friendly, and Ford has always been not particularly customer friendly, but there was a time that I thought that they were coming around to customer and dealer friendly, but I don't see that right now. So you got to remember,
right? But
yeah, go ahead. When we're gonna fight over this microphone.
Yeah.
No, when $7,500 rebates popped up on EVs, the manufacturers, Ford and General Motors, that were big in the EV truck market, immediately raised their prices $7,500.
Mm-hmm.
So, in other words, they saw that dealers were selling cars $10,000 over sticker, and the manufacturer said that is unconscionable. The dealers are just criminal to charge, but they immediately raised their prices because they saw the dealers making that additional money and they wanted to move it to their side of the ledger.
Sure. Yeah. So, but that's kind of in line with what I mean. Like, for example, if anybody that bought during that time, not everybody, but there's a lot of people that are going to be screwed. They're not going to be able to get out of that car, right?
Oh, we didn't sell cars. We perform weddings.
Yeah, exactly. And so those folks are going to have to pretty much go to term with their loans because they're in such a financial situation that how do you know what I mean?
Oh, Herb,
What do you do?
not just 20,000, 10,000 over sticker, but 84 months.
Yeah, exactly.
84 months. You ever see the movie
Yeah.
Home Alone? Terrible.
Exactly. So, but you know how we do, man. Like as soon, every year it's like, how do we get more? And so, and when we say things like, well, dude, like, listen, look what happened during COVID. Well, I don't care. Figure it out.
Do people need all the technology things that they're putting in the cars? Do they want these options? And the manufacturers, the greed factor, their subscription accessories, get out of here.
Yeah.
I mean, you want heated seats? We'll turn them on for an extra $20 a month. You're gonna rent me you're gonna rent me the heated seats that are already in the car.
That stuff is coming.
Subscription accessories. I mean, get out of here. I mean, you used to be, you bought a car, you owned everything in it.
You don't think that that's going to be the way for profitability in the future? Like these over the air updates?
Well, over the air updates is one thing, but over the air accessories where they turn on accessories that are already built into the car.
To the car. Yeah.
The heated seats, the heated steering wheels, even the radios. I mean, and it's amazing what they can do over the air now. Ford just bought a program where they can harass people that are delinquent on their payments.
Oh, what do you mean? I haven't heard about that.
They could turn off the radio, making an annoying sound come out of the dash.
What?
They can finally turn the car off, which we've been able to do for years. But now they've got all sorts of they can harass the customers into making their payments.
That's crazy. Oh man.
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. They got, and by the way, they've got the copyright on that. And they said, we're not, or the patent, whatever it is. They said, we're not going to use that. We just wanted to own it so other people couldn't use it. Get out of here. That was in the press release. We just wanted to own it so nobody else could use it against their customers because we are the customer. Once it was exposed that they owned that copyright.
So Jim, what are you predicting for this year? Do you think this is going to be a plus year for most dealers, or do you think that the end of, like a lot of people that I've talked to think that the end of the Q2 will be the last quarter where there's some gains, and then it's going to get really tight for the rest of this year and the rest of next year? I
don't agree with most forecasters in the industry. I've got the most accurate forecast record, predictions record. I am the king of forecasters and prognosticators in the industry, and a lot of the granolators out there are dancing around Stonehenge wearing their white robes and shit. But the true believers. But the truth of the matter is, it is going to slow down. I'll agree with most forecasters. We're going to see a slowing, and we would have seen a slowing anyway, Herb. There are only like 210 million licensed drivers in the United States. 210 million. And when you start selling 16, 17 million new units a year and 40,000, 45,000 used units, and 60 and 70,000, and you're sticking these people in 84-month loans that are upside down for at least 6 years. Yeah, there's going to come a point where you reach what I call market saturation. Everybody that wants one's got one, and there's not that many 18-year-olds turning 19. All of a sudden the market is saturated, and then we see a slowdown, and that slowdown is we're due for it. If all the economic factors were correct, we are due for a slowdown. Just mathematically, you can't cram 60 to 70 million vehicles a year into a 200 million licensed drivers. You can't keep cramming that into them and expect not to reach saturation.
For sure. The other thing that you mentioned right now that I wanted to kind of get your feedback on, because I agree. I think that one of the big differentiators, let's say to the 08 and 09 for us, is back then there was surpluses of inventory and no credit, right? I mean, it was really bad, but now we have people, we don't have cars still. I mean, things are coming back for sure, but there's still some deficiencies.
Manufacturers have inventory. Nissan got ahead of the curve. Their dealers got cars on the ground.
Yeah, no, there's some manufacturers that do, but my point is that there are people. I've like some of the information that's out there, and just my personal opinion is, I think that, to your point, I think that there's some customers that did not transact and said, no, I'm not. I want to wait for the car. I want to wait to see what happens or whatever. And so I think that there's that demand for new cars in particular that, there's still some gains to be had. Do you agree? And if you do, what do you think dealers should be doing now to prep for that as that inventory starts trickling into some of these manufacturers that haven't benefited, like Nissan or Chrysler, that to have a little bit more stock on the ground, so to speak?
Well, first of all, I have a reputation for growing dealers to the big numbers. And the one way that I've always grown dealerships to the maximum numbers that dealership is capable of doing, I've taken many dealerships from 100 units to 500, from 500 to start to 1,000.
Are you talking new, used?
Talking all
collectively,
all units sales, total sales.
Right on.
I've taken a lot of. I've probably been involved in making more dealers go to 1,000 units than anybody in the industry, as far as an outside consultant. There's a lot of general managers that have done that in one or two locations, but I've done it in a lot of locations because through the years, and I've got that track record. It's documented. And one way you grow a dealership to the big numbers is you act like you're already doing it. And dealers don't get that. Every dealer that is trying to grow a big business wants to sneak up on the numbers and gradually grow the numbers.
So, but when you say that, Jim, you talk about you start stocking in that way, you start hiring in that way.
You got the staff you have the staff in place. You start stocking the units on the ground. You start advertising as if you were already with a budget and with a different strategy that you're already selling 1,000 units. Now, the key word is realistically. First of all, you've got to do a survey of the dealership. What is this dealership realistically capable of selling? What's our market? What competition? What traffic is available? What's the population? You have to look at all of the factors. You're not going to go to Mayberry and create a 1,000 unit dealership, although that has been done. The internet has leveled the playing field.
Well, I think about Glenn Lundy's situation in his market was like 9,000 people, and he went from 100 cars to, what was it, 1,000 cars or something like that?
Well, yeah, the dealership did. Yeah. You got to give the dealer some credit. With I know Glenn and I are friendly, but still in all, Glenn didn't do all that by himself. And
sure. But I'm just saying, like the capacity is there, right?
The capacity is there, and that was expanding your market area, being on the outskirts. I love a small dealership on the outskirts of a major metro, because I can come in under the radar screen and steal business and like stealth marketing. They don't even know what hit them.
Yeah.
We're coming in under the radar screen, and there are ways to do that. But the point is, our sales staffs today are woefully undertrained. Woefully undertrained.
No question.
The sales departments, the F&I departments, and they've forgotten how to sell. And because let's face it, we had a pandemic, and then we had an inventory shortage where you could sell virtually every car on the ground for $10,000 over sticker, and you didn't need any particular sales skills. And dealers didn't.
Right.
Dealers didn't.
Yeah, we were order taking.
Dealers didn't invest in training. And when they did invest in training, they invested in bad training.
Yes.
And the point is, they forgot how to negotiate. And whether even a one-price dealership negotiates to some extent, and there is no true one-price dealership. I can go to any one-price dealership and show you. Even when Saturn was, I met with the vice presidents that were in charge of Saturn, and they said, well, we don't negotiate. I said, well, what do you do with a trade-in? I mean, what do you do? And here was the word they used. I swear, they said, well, we sometimes wiggle on the trade. You wiggle on the trade.
What do you call that, man? Come on now.
You wiggle on the trade. Get out of here.
That's hilarious.
So everybody needs to know how to negotiate, and they don't know how to do that. The F&I managers don't know how to work the banks intelligently. They want to hammer the deals into the banks. They don't know how to talk to a credit supervisor. They don't know how to structure a deal intelligently to get it approved. And that's a skill we really need to have right now with the banks pulling back in the marketplace. All the major banks aren't getting out, but they are certainly tightening up on the credit standards.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I definitely want to talk about that, especially with you because of your finance background. But you said something right now that I want to expand on, and that's a bad training, right? How does it, and this may sound like a dumb question, but how does a general manager or a GSM, how do they spot bad training? Because sometimes that can be disguised
as, all, check out the trainer. Check out the trainer and the history of the trainer. I mean, my resume is published on my website. There's never a need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, and I don't want to mention any specific people, but there's never a need to lie, cheat, sneak, deceive, or do any criminal tactics to sell cars. And, check me out. I check out pretty good because I have kept a clean reputation through the years. I've done high numbers, but I always did it the correct way, honorably, ethically, legally compliant. You don't need to cheat, steal, misrepresent, none of that. And
has that gotten easier, Jim, with the times that we are now, or more difficult? Because a lot of times I hear, well, I don't know, or I wasn't trained the right way, or whatever, and I'm like,
legal
dude, come
compliance.
on.
I have spoken at NADA conventions on legal compliance. It's been more than probably 12 years since I last spoke on legal compliance at a convention. But I am a layman expert on legal compliance in the car business. And the reason I'm a layman expert is because I study my profession as surely as if I were studying for a master's degree in any other profession. And I study my profession. I mean, I spend a lot of time. And I study what everybody else is doing. I study what other people are teaching. When I drove into Atlanta in 1982, I sought out role models, mentors, people that were doing it the best way, and I studied what they were doing. And I have read every document, every book I could lay hands on how to do the business in the car business. You know, I've been in the business 48 years.
Yeah. Wow. See, I don't know, man. Like when I have these conversations and people say things like, well, I was trained badly. I didn't know what I was doing. It's like, I'm always like, dude, seriously, come on. Like, you know, what you're doing is wrong. And you made the decision to stay there, whether it be because of the money or whatever. I don't know.
Well, you know,
but
the truth of the matter is, Herb, 25 years ago, what we were doing would be illegal today, not because it was bad or because it was the intention was bad, but the laws have tightened up,
and have changed, right?
I have moved with that. You know, I mean, my God, the old Foursquare is still the best way to sell cars, but it has been abused, and so
you think so?
Yeah, I think it is. First of all, there's only 4 elements in the car sale: the price, the trade, the down payment, and the payment, and the interest rate for the fifth term. But how you disclose that during the negotiation, that separates that separates all of us.
Okay. So in your experience, would you say that and I think we talked about this in our previous podcast, but I want to bring it up again because it's one that I always debate, and that's the steps to the sale. Do you think that those are relevant in the digitally
Absolutely.
fast-paced, advanced world?
Everybody,
but don't you think that they need to change a little bit?
Wait a second. Let me finish that sentence. The road to the sale is you have to have a road to the sale in every dealership. Now we've inserted technology into it, but the road to the sale didn't die. It just transformed. You know, you still got to meet and greet the customer somewhere. You know, you still have to establish a relationship somewhere. You know, meet and greet the customer, establish common ground, select a vehicle. Okay, so they pre-selected a vehicle. Thank goodness technology did that for us. Okay, select the vehicle, present the vehicle. Okay, they watched a video or we did a walk around, and you know, however the vehicle was presented, it still was.
Now more than ever, businesses need more efficient sales. That's why thousands of dealerships trust 4Eyes to help with things like automated inventory email updates and ensuring all of your leads get into the CRM. To try 4Eyes for free, visit 4eyes.io/dealertalk. That's 4eyes.io/dealertalk.
So all the steps in the sale are still there. Technology took over some of them, but a lot of customers are not buying the car online. That never happened. As a matter of fact, when digital retailing came in, everybody was cheering for digital retailing. That's that bunch of people with white robes dancing around Stonehenge. You know, all of a sudden, Tesla is selling cars online, Carvana is selling cars online. That really worked well during the pandemic, and it worked somewhat well during the inventory shortage. But all of a sudden, all these people, Darwin, Prodigy, freaking Tech, all these different people were born, these digital retailers. And by the way, I'm a believer that you have to have a digital retail vendor. I'm not saying you don't hire these people, but it didn't work out the way they planned it. Because
what, you mean on your website you should have a digital retailing experience?
You have to have all modalities of buying a car. Any way the customer wants to buy the car. But the very minimal number of customers are buying a car online. Every dealer's got the ability to do that.
But we have, Jim, like back in 2000, when I was at the dealership, they were shipping cars all over the place. They just didn't promote it.
And so,
you know what I mean?
And so were we. But the point is, customers aren't playing the game. They aren't going along with it. Customers are still physically coming to the dealership. They will go so far online. I went to the doctor this morning. I had surgery this morning. And
thanks for making the podcast, man.
Yeah,
are you okay?
Minor back surgery. They burned some nerves in my back. So I have a lot of weightlifting injuries from when I was a little younger.
Oh,
yeah, I've got a lot of weightlifting injuries that caused me to have some problems today. So anyway, people go so far as to buy a car. I filled out all my paperwork in advance to go to the doctor this morning. I was on the table for about 2 or 3 hours this morning, and I was complete anesthesia, but I filled out people will fill out the paperwork in advance, but they aren't contracting online. They are not watching the videos. All these companies put these videos up, video walkarounds, video service contracts. Guess what? People aren't watching that crap.
Yeah, no.
They're not watching it. I mean, no matter, and if somebody tells you they are, they're lying to you.
Exactly.
So people are still, and here's the thing, lead providers, that is a dying industry. Nobody is filling out the forms. Nobody is, I'm sorry, cars.com, Auto Trader, car gurus. I'm sorry. I view you, my opinion, I think I said opinion, that's some legal stuff. But anyway, my opinion is that you are a dying industry, cars.com, Auto Trader, car gurus. I mean, dealers are selling cars off their website. The website is still the biggest traffic generator. Dealers are buying SEO. They're buying Facebook advertising. They're buying social media. They're buying pay-per-clicks. They don't need the lead providers anymore, and that has leveled the playing field. Excuse me, lead providers, you are sinking down in the tar pits, eating your last brown shriveled leaves off the trees. Excuse me, you're extinct. Because people are walking in the dealerships and they're not contacting the dealership first. There is a large percentage of customers walking in the dealership. They're not they've been on the website, but they didn't contact the BDC. They didn't call the dealership. They just showed up. And there's where the road to the sale needs to come in. That's where the old school road to the sale kicks in. So there are different modalities that customers use to buy a car. Some customers will buy the car totally online. They will totally transact on Darwin, Prodigy, I think it's
whatever you have. Yeah, sure.
Whatever you have. So you need,
and for certain cars, it makes sense. Like a luxury car, like a Ferrari or something like that. I get it.
Online.
Yeah, you buy it online, right? A new car might make sense too, because I can test drive it anywhere and I know that I'm going to like the car or whatever. But used cars, come on.
Oh, you got to go look at that used car. You got to see, I'm going to go to the lot and see if there's bird nests growing under the tires,
Right. And then they talk about Carvana and stuff. And they sold some cars, no question. But A, is that customer going to buy another car from them if they're even around? And B, look at the reviews. The reviews are terrible. And the more we continue to do the practices that we do internally at our dealerships, the less people are going to interact with those platforms.
Exactly.
But they have some value because people do go at least to look at cars. So I get it from that perspective. But if we're counting leads, that's a very ineffective way. It's the laziest way to measure marketing efforts, in my opinion, at your dealership.
I would think, there are so many metrics that people use that are false soundings. I don't. The measurement is ROI. The measurement is rate of travel. I mean, excuse me. Google is the only measurement. Yeah, excuse me. I got big.
Yeah. So what I tell dealers when we're consulting is, I remember my broadcast days when we used to go and sit and talk to an agency or a customer about media buys. We would always talk in percentage of share. Hey, what percentage of share do I have an audience? And then I would expect that in budget, right? Why don't we do that in the car business? It's a very simple thing. Like if Auto Trader is 2% of my budget, I should expect to get 2% of the leads. I don't care about anything else. I don't care. Auto Trader doesn't sell cars. Auto Trader doesn't set appointments. They certainly don't hold gross on my cars. It's just comical when these reps talk to me about, well, yeah, but you make more money on Auto Trader. No, I don't. I just buy the car and I put on your platform. What do you like? You know what I mean? What do you have to do with how much gross profit I made on that car?
Oh, quit it. Just absolutely incredible, some of the things. And then they if you ever cancel one of these lead providers, the first thing they do is they come in with the big gun. They're going to go get the supervisor to close you. This is a TO. They TO you to a regional manager.
That's so true.
The regional manager comes in with a laptop and he or she wants to show you their attribution.
Yes.
We contributed to the sale. Yeah, quit it. I have a Ziegler saying: "Figures lie when liars figure." You know? Yeah. You can do a lot of things with attribution. Any dealer that falls for an attribution, the first thing you got to remember is never trust figures supplied by a vendor about the vendor.
About the vendor, yeah, of course.
Why would you let a vendor show you figures that they brought you about them or a company themselves they hired?
Yeah.
Well, we hired this company. You hired a company, okay. I'm sure they came back with some bad results for you.
Right. Yeah, they say you suck, man.
Yeah,
so.
They said you suck. They said sorry, Auto Trader. They said to hirecars.com.
That would be hilarious.
Yeah,
that would be funny. So, and what do you think about traditional form of advertising? Do you think that there's some room there, that a lot of people left that to the side, and that might be a mistake?
A huge mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to remember, online advertising targets in-market buyers. Television advertising motivates people that weren't even thinking about buying. They're sitting there, and all of a sudden they see a car and they say, I'd love to have that. And they see that same commercial again. Well, I really would love to have that. About the fourth or fifth impression, they're getting dressed and heading over to the dealership. In Atlanta, where I live, we've got two people that use a lot of television. Jim Shorkey, and I've forgotten his general manager's name. He calls himself the bow tie guy, which I sort of disagree with, but it's kind of humorous. The bow tie guy. Okay, but the bow tie guy for Jim Shorkey and Linda Beaver, one of the most progressive dealers. I mean, their dealership is a benchmark for anything dealers are doing right. Linda Beaver is on television every single day. My wife and I, there's one thing we never miss: Wheel of Fortune and Jeopardy. And by the way, Jim Shorkey and Linda Beaver are saturated buying that program. Both of them.
They're everywhere.
And I'm telling you, it works for them. They have high volume sales. They're motivating people, and they have repetition. See, I came out of radio. I was a disc jockey, and I was a radio advertising salesperson long before I was in the car business. I set records in Jacksonville selling radio advertising.
Wow.
And I fully understand media. Now, radio is not going to be nearly as effective as television,
right?
Traditional. Only time radio is going to be effective is when you buy Morning Drive, done live by the personality on the air.
Yeah, like the DJs and stuff. Yeah, totally agree.
The DJ on the air does Morning Drive. Afternoon Drive is all over the map, but Morning Drive is very, very, very successful. And by the
yeah, no, I agree. And the thing too is that there's a big hole in some of these markets because everybody went digital and they left those mediums completely open.
There's
right?
not a lot of radio advertising for car dealerships like there once was.
Right.
So what you need to do is buy the first half of the hour. Don't buy the second half of the hour. Excuse me, I got that backwards. Buy the second half of the hour. Don't buy the first half of the hour.
Yeah. And I was going to say also too, like commit. That's the other thing. You don't do radio for 30 days and see if it worked. You got to do it consistently and just be like, hey, this is just a part of my marketing mix and we're going to do it forever. Right? The message can change, but the consistency can never change.
The other thing that works for radio, by the way, is the personality live on the lot. A remote broadcast.
It's funny you bring that up because I was just talking to somebody about this the other day, and it's like the live events are weird now, man, because they show up with their cell phone. There's no, like before they used to show up with the van, they'd put the speakers and balloons and all this.
I've done hundreds of them, but personally performed them. And a live broadcast, when you do a live broadcast, you got to have event advertising, event marketing.
Yes.
To create an event on the lot. The biggest crowd I ever put on a car lot was a professional wrestling match. We had 10,000 people. 10,000 people on a car lot. I mean, the traffic jams in both directions. And we had some over the hill wrestlers that were well known, but we actually you could hire them pretty cheap, by the way. And we put a wrestling match up on the dealership, and we had a wrestling match at night on the dealership's parking lot.
That's awesome. That's a great idea. I love that.
Lynn Hickey and Evel Knievel hanging over the lot in a conversion van with a rocket launcher blowing up Chevys at Lynn Hickey Dodge. They set the world record. I mean, Billy Facillo had Robbie Knievel jumping over his dealership with a motorcycle. That's the kind of thing that absolutely draws anytime you can put 10,000 people in a parking lot of a car dealership, and I've done it several times. I've been to dealerships where we had a free bungee jump and people lined up to get the free bungee jump. I mean, it was a crane-like thing. It was wild. I actually did it. And all the promotions, when you have magicians, free Coca-Colas, free hot dogs, flatbed truck with a country band and an Elvis impersonator, man, you're going to draw a crowd.
You will, yeah.
People forgot how to do promotions.
Exactly. That's exactly it. We've gotten away with that because of perhaps the specificity of data when you're talking about digital. But then we complained that there's no foot traffic in our stores. Well, like if you're relying only on digital, then yeah, you're going to move the unit, but you're not going to have a bunch of people there. They're just going to show up and they're going to buy the car, and that's it, right? I mean,
well, promotion isn't necessarily to sell cars that day.
Right. That's what I mean. Like if you want activity and people and you want to create that, feel of busyness and excite that, then you're talking about what you said, promotion marketing. Can't sit down with Auto Trader and be like, why don't I have more foot traffic in my store? Like it's just the wrong, we're talking about two different things.
I was consulting, this Mike Height's dealership in Norman, Oklahoma. Heights bought the dealership, the Chevy dealership, at the height of the 2008 crash. I mean, he bought this dealership in 2008, and we got that dealership up to 850 units a month.
Wow.
And he had built an auditorium. Now, picture this. He built an auditorium on the lot, like a little amphitheater for the community to use for community events. He had meeting rooms in the dealership big enough for the local Kiwanis and Rotary clubs and free meeting space. And he did all sorts of things for the community. He had a 1,000,000-gallon fish tank. I don't know how many gallons, but the whole wall of the dealership was a freshwater fish tank with big bass and big freshwater fish in it. I mean, the whole wall of the dealership was a fish tank. I mean, the dealership was so incredible. 850 units a month. Highly profitable, ethical, community oriented. You know, the community could book the amphitheater. Guess what? General Motors made him sell the dealership because he wouldn't remodel it to fit the General Motors Chevy standards.
That's crazy. Jeez.
Honest to goodness, that's a true story, Herb. They made this super successful dealership that was super involved in the community. They made him sell the dealership. You know,
that's just terrible.
I got to tell you, there was a dealer, Bruce Butcher. They had Butcher's Toyota, Brunswick, Georgia. I think it was Brunswick, Georgia. We put a car wash on the corner of his parking lot. I mean, we just put plumbing where water would squirt down on the cars, nothing fancy, and we allowed the cheerleaders and the Boy Scouts and the community clubs to use that car wash right on the corner of the lot. And then that was so successful, we took 4 cars off the front of the parking lot and made a concrete slab with picnic tables and an industrial strength barbecue pit. And we allowed community organizations to book the barbecue pit with a couple picnic tables and a big industrial barbecue pit to have their barbecues every Saturday. The car wash is on one end of the lot, the barbecue pit on the other end of the lot. We got cheerleaders out there with signs, come into our car wash, and the barbecue pit, there's the Shriners out there with their barbecue, raising funds for the Shriners. And I mean, we had the community flagging people onto our lot. It was incredible.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. I mean, but those are the kind of things that those are the extra things that create differentiation. We talk about experience and all these things. Those are the things that create an experience that people can say, you know what, that's a different thing. They're doing things differently. And yeah, that's super dope to see that creativity and execution on things like that.
Well, I've been involved in a lot of dealerships. Ed Bozarth in Denver, that did community oriented things that just absolutely catapulted the dealership to the big numbers.
Sure. Yeah. And it shows that you make a good point, right? Because it shows the community that you're involved and you care. And when, I think that goes a long way. I mean, me personally as a consumer, I go to certain places in my local community because, they have products that I want. And because I also feel like my money that goes to that business and that business does things with that money in the local community. And it's an incentive for people to feel good about the purchase and where they're spending their dollars and stuff. So I love stories like that.
Yeah, you don't need to beat the public over the head to sell cars. I mean, you can. Mm-hmm. every one of the dealerships that got involved in the community, it pays rewards.
It's just good business. It's good business.
I have in many dealerships, when I'm consulting a dealership, one of the things I want them to do is hire what I call the community ambassador. Usually a woman. For the profile would be 40, 50, even 60 years old, to join all the community organizations and to be the ambassador for the dealership in the community. I've always usually one of the profiles, and I'm giving away all my secrets here, but one of the things I really liked was a retired flight attendant. If I could get a retired flight attendant to go to work for a dealership that I was consulting and become the ambassador for the dealership, and she would join all the local organizations, she would get involved in any charity that wanted to donate the little league teams or whatever. She was the person. She was the one that booked the barbecue pit. She was the one that booked the car wash. She was the one that got the community involved with the dealership. That paid big dividends wherever we did that.
Right on. Very cool. So there you have it, folks. There's a little tip from the Alpha Dog himself.
Guess what? I'm back doing seminars again.
When did you? Did I read something that you did? No, that was about No, it was about the university. You posted that you were teaching again.
Well, I teach general manager and F&I at Northwood University, which is the only 4-year university in the country with a major in automotive. A lot of dealers' sons and daughters, and general managers' sons and daughters, and people in the automotive industry attend Northwood. It's a really great experience. I teach a course every Wednesday, and for general manager, I've taught that course 3 times now, and I teach the F&I course. But I'm Ben Keating, the 15th most profitable dealer in the country. I've been consulting him for 25 years. They use all my processes. Wow. It's 15th most profitable dealership in group in the country. They're South Texas. He called me 2 months ago. He said, I wanted me to fly to South Texas and do a seminar. I said, I'm a cancer survivor. My immune system is not that hot. Obviously, my back, I can't do that. He said, well, I'll bring the managers to you. First, he said, I'll send a private jet. My wife said no. So he sent 60 managers to Atlanta, Herb. 60.
Oh, wow.
Flew 60 managers. This is only a couple weeks ago. It's on my website. It's on my Facebook page. 60 managers to Atlanta. He rented the ballroom at the Marriott. He paid me a high 5-digit fee for a 2-day seminar. High 5 digits. He had banquets every night, 2 nights. He had sit-down lunches and breakfast for all 60 of the guys. He rented all the AV, all the ballroom. He had more than $100,000 invested in a 2-day seminar with me.
Yeah, but how much value did his management get from that? That's going to last him a lifetime.
Dealers invest in your people.
Yeah.
Invest.
Yeah, I mean, like
so.
And you know how those people must have felt so super valued as employees. Like, that's great.
They become true friends of mine through the years. A lot of these were managers. I'm not a sales trainer. I'm a management trainer.
Right.
I do train salespeople when I'm involved with a dealership, but I'm a management trainer. I teach sales management, general management, F&I. I'm doing F&I seminar in Atlanta. I've got one coming up. This inspired me to get back into it.
Very cool. Right on. Well, let us know, and we can link it and help you spread the word.
Oh, absolutely. July 13th, 14th. My website, ZieglerSuperSystems.com, ZieglerSuperSystems.com. Yeah.
We'll make sure to put some show note links in there
Would
as
you
well.
do that for me? Thank you.
Absolutely. Spread the word. Hey man, thank you so much for doing this again. I really appreciate it. This is awesome. It's always good to talk to you.
You've become a good friend. I appreciate you.
Yeah, likewise. Thank you so much for all your support. And we typically close things off with a question about the next 5 years, but you've already done that. So how about you just tell us, what do you think we can expect in the next year and why?
The next year, we're bordering on a recession right now. We've got to tighten up, get your processes in order. Herb mentioned the road to the sale. You've got to have a road to the sale. And the road to the sale will involve technology. You can't be afraid of technology. Some of the older dealers, you don't know where the on switch on your computer is. Excuse me. You've got to get involved in technology, and you got to reevaluate all your vendors. The vendors that you have might be obsolete and archaic, and you are really liking your representative. The representative is your personal relationship, not the company. Go look at everything that's new. Go to the conferences. Go to all the conferences and see all the vendors, the new emerging vendors, and see what they're offering. See what the new technologies are. That's going to get you ahead in the next year, Herb.
Right on. There you have it, folks. Straight from the Alpha Dog himself. Thank you so much for doing this. We really, really appreciate it. Thank you for tuning in. That's all the time that we have for today. And as usual, we'll talk later.
We only host a well-respected. The vendor LexisNexis. We don't sell digital marketing. What you do? We inspect it with our DT vendor management.
Now more than ever, businesses need more efficient sales. That's why thousands of dealerships trust 4Eyes to help with things like automated inventory email updates and ensuring all of your leads get into the CRM. To try 4Eyes for free, visit 4eyes.io/dealertalk. That's 4eyes.io/dealertalk.